Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Islamic Library Chennai.
In this explainer, we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most important questions any of us can ever ask, and we're basing it on the book Why Were We Born? You know the question. It's one that probably pops into all of our heads from time to time. What is all of this for? Why are we here?
Okay, so let's start with two things that are just undeniable for every single person. Our birth, that's a fact, it already happened, and our death, that's a certainty, it's coming for all of us. We're here now, and one day we won't be.
So that leads to the real question, doesn't it? What about the journey in between those 2 points? Is this whole life thing just some random accident? Or is there something more to it, a bigger picture we're supposed to be seeing? The book we're looking at says the answer is literally all around us if we just open our eyes.
I mean, just think about it. The world we live in isn't chaotic. It runs on a system. Night follows day. Rain falls and helps things grow. Crops grow to give us food. Even our own bodies are these unbelievably complex machines where every single part has a job to do. Nothing is just there for no reason. Everything has a purpose.
This verse here calls all those things, the day and night, the universe itself, signs. So if you think about it logically, if every little thing in the universe has a purpose, then wouldn't human life, the most amazing and aware creation of all, have the greatest purpose? The source material argues it would be crazy to think otherwise. All right, so if we're on board with the idea that life has a purpose, the next obvious question is, well, what is it? And this is where we get to the absolute core idea of the book. And here it is, plain and simple. This life that we're living, it's not the main event. It's a test. And this world with all of its ups and downs, its beauty and its hardships, it's just the examination hall where that test takes place.
And this isn't just an idea someone came up with. The source points directly to the Quran. This verse is crystal clear. Life and death were created specifically to test us. And what's the test about? Not about who's the richest or the most powerful, but about who is the best indeed. Who does the best actions?
This verse adds another layer. It says that everything on earth, all the nice things, the wealth, the attractions, they're described as adornments, like decorations. They're all part of the test material, designed to see what we'll do and who will stay focused on what really matters.
Now, any fair test needs a textbook, right? A guide that tells you what the rules are and what you'll be tested on. Well, the source presents the Quran as exactly that, the divine and perfectly protected guidebook from the Creator himself, telling us everything we need to know to pass.
So what happens when the test is over? You know, after every exam, there's a day when you get your results. And according to the source, life is exactly the same.
For each of us, death is when we put our pencils down. The test is over. But that's not the end of the story. The full compensation, basically our final grade and the consequences that come with it, is handed out on a specific day, the day of resurrection.
And the grading on that day is going to be perfectly precise. Absolutely nothing gets missed. Nothing is forgotten. Every little thing we did, said, or even intended, it's all going to be there on the record.
This verse is just incredible at explaining how detailed that accounting will be. An atom's weight. I mean, that's almost nothing. But even that tiny amount of good you do, you'll see it. And that tiny amount of bad you do, you'll see that too. It means every single thing we do matters.
So once all the deeds are weighed and the final scores are tallied, the source explains that there are two very different and very permanent outcomes based on how we did on life's test. And here they are, side by side. The stakes really couldn't be any higher. On one hand, you have heaven, an eternal life of pure peace and happiness, and on the other, hell, an eternal life of pain and regret. And our choices in this short, temporary life are what decide our address for eternity.
For those who pass, the reward is paradise. But it's more than just beautiful gardens. Look at the last part of that verse. The ultimate prize is that God is pleased with them, and they are completely pleased and content with Him. That's a level of peace and happiness we can't even imagine.
Now, for those who failed the test, the source gives a really stark warning. This verse describes a punishment that is constant and eternal, just to make sure we understand how serious the consequences are.
Okay, so with two outcomes that are so drastically different, the most important question in the world has to be, how do we pass this test? What's the path to success? Well, the source material makes that very clear too.
The path to success is summed up in one word: Islam.
But the source is really specific here. It's not just the name of a religion like you'd put on a form. At its very heart, it's an action. It's the act of willingly and thankfully submitting to the guidance of the one who made us.
This is a great way to think about it. Imagine your boss gives you a fantastic salary, a company car, and always treats you with respect. What do? You show up on time, you do your job well, you're loyal. So the source asks, what about God? He didn't just give us a job, he gave us our life, our health, our families, the entire universe to live in. The only logical response, the only truly grateful response, is to live by his guidance. And his path of submission is built on some really simple, powerful truths. First, that we're all one big family. Race, passport, none of that really matters. Second, that only the Creator deserves our worship, not anything or anyone he created. And third, the rock-solid belief that this life is temporary, and we're all going back to him to answer for how we lived. Which brings us to the final, most crucial point of all. The guidebook is there. The rules of the test are clear. The stakes are known. At the end of the day, the choice is ours.
The book ends by pointing to this challenge from the Quran itself. It basically says, if you doubt that this guidance is from God, then try to create something even close to it. And then it says, but you won't be able to. It's a call to not just blindly accept or reject, but to actually investigate it for yourself, while reminding us that the consequences of getting it wrong are incredibly serious.
And so that's where we land. This life is our one and only shot. There are no do-overs, no second chances. This is it. This is the test. Knowing that every moment counts and that an eternal future is on the line, the question isn't for a book to answer anymore. It's a question each and every one of us has to answer for ourselves. How are you going to choose to live?